So good morning. It is Friday, although yesterday all day I thought it was Monday. Today is Friday, so I skipped 4 days and this is Yoga Flow. So if anybody is out there, let me know if you're having any trouble hearing. I'm hooked up now. I think we should be good to go. Let yourself get comfortable. And I don't plan to use a strap or anything special today. You might have your blankets handy and things you like to have. But just close your eyes. Start to lengthen up. Being aware of feeling your breath coming in and going out. So if you can, let the breath come in evenly in and out through both sides of your nose so that you can feel that sense of really being equal through the sides of the nose. Feeling the breath coming into the belly. Next exhale, bring your chin down towards your chest, really releasing now through the neck, maybe up into your upper back, feeling the weight of your head forward. And then on your next inhale, rising the head on back up, and let's tilt our head to the right ear towards your right shoulder, and let your left arm come on out, flex your hand, keep the arm a little bit low, don't go up high, just let yourself flex through your hand and feel a little more release through the left side of the neck. And then we'll come up and over the top to go to the other side. Left ear towards the left shoulder. Right arm comes up low and flex your hand. Let yourself release there through the right side of the neck. Come on back up to the top here now. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And inhaling here at center. On the exhale, twisting to our right. So bringing your left hand around, maybe to that right knee if you can, depends on how you're sitting. Lengthening up through the top of your head. And then let your next inhale rise your back right arm up overhead. Find length through that right side of the body here. And then let's lean over a little to the left. You can even kind of lean over towards your left thigh a little bit. Just breathing into the right side here. And then we'll rise on back up, and as you lower that arm down, maybe you can turn to look a little more behind yourself. Depends on you and your neck, obviously. One more inhale. And as you exhale, draw yourself back into center again. And let's inhale here at center. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our left. So bringing that right hand around, again, to wherever you can. Lengthening upward through the crown of your head, chin parallel to the floor. Waking up the spine, and then on your next inhale, let that left back arm rise up overhead. Find that sense of real length here. And as you exhale, lean over towards that right thigh a little bit. Let yourself come into side stretch. Breathing into the left ribs. And then we'll inhale back up. And as you exhale the arm down, again, maybe you can turn to look a little more behind yourself. Depends on you. One more breath here, really drawing the sit bones down towards the ground. And let your next exhale draw you back. Use your belly to draw you back on around into center. Flex through both feet. If you're cross-legged, press into the outside edges of your feet and come on forward. Maybe just a little bit, maybe walking all the way out. That's up to you. So paying attention to how you feel. Really take your time. Let your head hang if possible. Waking up into the hips. Good. One more breath. And then we'll walk ourselves on back up. If you're cross-legged, we're going to switch the cross of our legs. If you're not, you can stretch your legs out, keep them stretched out if you want. If you need support under your knees, I forgot to say this earlier, you can put blocks underneath so you support yourself a little bit. And then let's come on forward again. So this time, if you can bring your hands or fingertips to the floor, do. And then just shift your torso a little bit from side to side. Just let yourself shift. And you can go farther out with the hands if you want, or you can stay back and up higher. Just letting yourself release side to side. Let it feel good. And then once you come back into center, again, go where you can go. If you decide you want to come farther forward, do. Let yourself use a block if you want underneath your head or under your forearms if that feels good. And we're going to slowly walk ourselves back on up from here again. Releasing our arms out beside us. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And exhale our hands down together in front of our hearts. And now, interlace your fingers. Squeeze your palms together here. Really squeeze the fingers into the backs of the hands. And let yourself activate there up into your shoulders. And then turn to press the heel of the hands outward, right out from your chest. Try to get the sense of not rolling forward in the upper back here, but instead it's almost like your chest comes forward a little bit. And then come back with the hands, keep them turned out for a second, and imagine you're trying to pull your hands apart. But it's like your fingers are locked, right? So the elbows are pulling away from each other. And keep pulling as you turn the hands so that the palms face into your chest. Let yourself really squeeze those fingers together so you almost feel like your bones there, the fingers. And then release, stretch the arms on straight out from your shoulders, palms face down here, reaching out through the fingertips. And then let's rotate the palms up, and then inhale the arms all the way up into a wide V. Let your pinkies turn towards each other. If you want to look up a little bit, if that feels good to you, do. If it bothers your neck, don't. And then on the exhale, we're going to release the fingertips all the way back down to the floor, letting yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. And from here, we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So if you know being on the knees isn't so great, grab a blanket so that you find yourself comfortable. If you need a blanket under your hands or your knees, either one. Remember too, if it feels better to get out of your hands, your wrists completely, you can come to fists, or you can come down on forearms if you need to go through those cat-cows. So take your time and let yourself just easily start to flow through the back. Stopping in cat or cow if you choose to, so if it feels good to stay in one of the poses for a breath or two, do. Really feel the tops of the feet gently coming into the floor. So really feel almost like you're pressing your toenails down into the mat here for a breath or two. And now don't do this if it hurts your knees, but if you can curl your toes under and then keep moving through your cat-cow, stretching out the bottoms of the feet. But if it bothers your knees to do this one, don't do it. And then we'll finish off to more neutral spine, and we're going to try just lifting up and back into down dog. Just briefly, let yourself come on back into a down dog. Walk a little bit, bend one knee at a time. Feel your calves and the backs of the legs opening up. And then come back to the knees either being equally bent or equally straight, and let yourself turn your head a little bit from side to side. So you kind of look under one arm at a time. And then come back to center with your head and see if you can just let the head hang. Let the top of the head release down towards the floor. Hug your elbows towards each other. Good. And then we'll lower our knees on back down to the mat. We're going to step our left foot forward. Now, grab your blocks if you have them. We're going to keep the right knee down as we step the left foot forward and just shift forward here to open up into the front of that right hip. Now, you can grab a blanket for under your knee if you want. So really just enjoy pressing into the top of the right toes. Good. And then we're going to switch. We'll bring that left knee back, bring the right foot forward, shift the hips forward. Again, you're welcome to put a blanket underneath your left knee there. And then again, press into the top of the toes. Let yourself just open up through the front of the left hip. Good. And let's bring that right knee back again and step the left foot forward. This time we're going to lift the back knee up into lunge. So coming into your lunge, whatever height you want to be with your hands. Take your time. Feel the feet in the floor. Press the feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. And then come into a straighter left knee. And you may even want to go higher on your blocks. That's up to you. Let the right heel descend directly down towards the floor. And elongate your torso out over that front leg, right? And then we'll bend the left knee. Come on back into that lunge. And we're going to switch legs. So bringing that right foot forward. Finding that alignment here in your lunge. Remember, like you're on very narrow railroad tracks. Pressing the feet away from each other, zipping up the low belly. Good, and we're going to straighten that right knee out. And again, you can be any height you want with your hands on the blocks. Let the left heel just descend straight back from the foot. Opening up in the back of the legs. Lengthening out over that inner right thigh there. Good, and then we'll bend the front knee again. Come on back into lunge. And we'll step forward, making our way into standing forward bend from here. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And let yourself release to where you know is good for you. In other words, use support if you need. Under your hands, elbows can be above your knees. Let yourself feel the weight of your head. You might want to nod or shake your head a little bit. And then let the knees soften. Lift your toes up briefly here. Feel the four corners of the feet into the floor. Arches lifting up. If it feels good to you to cross your wrists and slip your fingers up into the arches of your feet, you can keep your thumbs kind of on top of your feet and slip the fingers underneath and let yourself press upward with your fingers. And if that doesn't feel good, don't do it, obviously. Then let your toes release down, so feeling those arches rising up, the four corners of the feet drawing down. One more breath here. And then let's release our hands up to our hips. Feel your feet in the floor as you press into them equally and rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms. Let your arms inhale straight out from your shoulders. And let's bring our left arm on top of our right and give ourselves a hug. Let yourself tilt your head to the left. And then roll your chin down towards your chest. Roll the right ear towards the right shoulder. And then come on back into center with the chin towards the chest. And then inhale your head on up. Whether you want to head towards half eagle or eagle wrap, you can slide the back of the right hand to the outside of the left elbow there. or you can send the backs of the hands towards each other into your full wrap. So think about shoulders melting down, maybe elbows just rising gently up, feet equal in the floor. And then we'll release, let the arms come on down beside us. Inhale the arms out straight from the shoulders. Flex your hands for a second. And then bring the right arm on top of the left. Give yourself a hug here. Let the elbows release down. It doesn't matter exactly where you hold, right? And then let your head tilt to the right ear towards the right shoulder. And then rolling the chin down towards the chest. And continuing on to left ear towards the left shoulder. And then roll back down into center again. And then rising to get the chin parallel to the floor. And coming into either that half eagle, the back of the left hand to the outside of the right elbow, or your full wrap. So again, shoulders are kind of melting down. Maybe elbows can rise up a little bit. Don't force it though. Waking up in the shoulders, feeling that release between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we'll release the arms on down beside us. And again, inhale the arms up into that T and flex your hands again. Press out into the heels of the hands. And then lowering the arms down, let's bring our hands behind us, interlace our fingers. Now squeeze your palms together so your elbows might bend quite a bit. That depends on you and your shoulders. Really squeeze the palms together. And again, feel what you did before. Your fingers are really squeezing. You're really feeling the bones there. And then let the hands slide down a little bit more if you can. Separate your palms, but still keep your fingers interlaced. And as you exhale, bend your knees and come flat back parallel to the floor. So let yourself reach out through the top of your head, back through your tailbone. Hug your elbows upward a little bit here. So it's almost like your chest reaches a little more down towards the ground. And then if you're comfortable to fold all the way over your legs, do it. If not, don't. And totally up to you whether you want your arms to come off your back or not. You can stay with your hands down. You can release the arms upward depending on your shoulders, where the arms go. Now, bend your knees a tiny little bit. Press into your feet. Imagine you're trying to make your mat wider with your feet. So you're really pressing the feet away from each other. Inner thighs melt backwards. And then we'll release the arms on down. Hands to the shins. Inhale into a nice long back. And we're going to step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Spread the fingers nice and wide here. Now, coming forward, don't go to a plank, just enough to look at your hands. And make sure, think about your pointer fingers being parallel to each other. Spread the fingers, feel really equal through your hands here now. Elbows hug in, and then go ahead and reach back into your full dog. Let yourself come back into really pressing back out of your hands, reaching back through your sit bones. And let your next inhale carry you now out to that plank, engaging the belly. And to lower down, you can always put your knees down first or come through a full push-up. Elbows right by the ribs. And let's come on into Sphinx with our elbows under our shoulders. Spread our fingers nice and wide. Maybe look a little forward of your hands. Feel the belly gently engaging. Just gently though. Just so you don't have any kind of pressure in your back. And then we'll release back down. We're going to come back to down dog either through a full or a half push-up or coming back to hands and knees and then back into dog. Just spread those fingers again. Feel your elbows hugging in towards each other. Walk your dog a little bit. Bend a knee at a time. And then we'll come forward with the right foot to find lunge. So if you need to put your left knee down to come forward with the right foot, do. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. Releasing now. Checking out your feet. Lift your toes up. You might even take your fingers, if you can reach them, and kind of massage each toe a little bit and kind of separate your toes. You know, just take your time there. Let it feel good, especially if your toes are cold. Warm them up a little bit. And then releasing now, the toes back down, arches are lifting up. Bring your hands to where you're comfortable, to the elbows or using support. Full deep breaths. And then we'll bring our hands back up to our hips, bend our knees and rise on up. We'll inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's reverse the arms. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms as you come forward from the hips. So bending the knees to take it out of your back. Let your next inhale help you find that long back. Hands can be where you like. Shins if you want to go up higher. Floor in front of the toes for your fingertips if that feels good. And then we'll step the left foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into our downward facing dog pose. So again, adjust how you need. Kind of wag your tail just a little bit side to side. Let your hips just shift a little bit. No matter whether your knees are bent or straight. Elbows hugging inward. And then come on back into center. Find your dog here now. See if you can. Imagine you're trying to make your mat wider with your feet here. So the inner thighs melt backwards. And on the next inhale, we'll come out to that plank. Now, if you can, from here, lift your right foot off the floor a little bit. And then come down from that three-legged plank and lift your left foot off the floor just a little bit. And then come on down. We're going to lower down again. Knees first if you need. Elbows right by the ribs. And let's kind of do a little cobra here. Now, you can stay low. You can have your hands gently on the floor, elbows hugging in. Or you can press into your hands and come up higher. Still, you don't want to lock your elbows. Elbows are gently hugging in towards the ribs, a little bit bent. One more breath. And now let's shift back into child's pose. Let the big toes come together, knees apart. Shift your hips back. Keep your arms overhead. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other a little bit. And on the next inhale, we'll come up to all fours, curl our toes under, and reach back into down dog. And we'll bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And come on back into our Uttanasana. Feet right underneath us, hips distance apart, parallel. If you feel good to hold your elbows, do. Maybe you prefer to put your hands somewhere else. If you want to put them up on your back or even at the back of your head. Not pulling, but resting your hands clasped at the back of your head can feel good. Now watch the breaths all the way through. Let go through your face and your jaw. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to press into our feet, rising on up, and inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms down beside us and inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward, moving with the breath here now. Inhale into that long back. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into down dog. Let's inhale out to plank. Let your exhale lower you down. And inhaling into your cobra of choice. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale right foot forward for lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend the knees rising up. Arms all the way up to the top. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward. And let your inhale lengthen your spine. Exhale left foot back to lunge. Inhale. Exhale down dog. Inhaling out to that plank. Let your exhale lower you down. And inhale into that cobra of choice. Exhaling back into down dog. Inhale. Exhale left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising up, arms all the way up. And on the exhale, we'll come forward again. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. We're going to come into down dog here, stepping or walking or jumping. And we'll take your time, wiggle around a little bit, let your breath come back to normal. Spread those fingers wide, feel your elbows hugging in. Good. Now, if you can, make little circles with your navel here. So, letting yourself inhale as the navel kind of drops down, and then as you circle up, navel towards the spine, there's an exhale. Inhale as it comes down. Either your hips can shift a little bit, you know, your weight can shift a little bit, or it can be so tiny that you can hardly even see it. And then go the other way. Reversing those circles. Good. And then finish off back to your full dog here. And we're going to bring our left foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior two. Have your blocks handy in case you need them. Line your heels up here. Really get yourself situated there in the length of the stance where you feel good. When you bend that front knee, it's not going out beyond your ankle. Good. And then let's bring our hands into our heart. Bring your hands into prayer hands for a second. And then clasp your hands like we've been doing. Really squeeze your palms and hands together. And we're going to start to turn the palms outward, press out into the heels of the hands right in front of our chest. And then rise the arms up as high as your shoulders allow overhead. Now feel the feet in the floor equal. Let yourself enjoy right here. Feel kind of equal through the sides of your body. And then softly release your hands to lower the arms down to warrior two arms. Bringing your gaze to turn right out over the top of that left hand. Reaching back through the right fingertips, forward through the left. Really feeling the feet in the floor here. And let's turn the left palm up. Bring your right hand down. Follow the right arm, the forearm, onto your low back. And inhale that left arm up. Let yourself breathe into that left side of the body. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. Left hand or forearm onto your thigh. And adding that right arm up into line if you can. Swinging it on up into line with the right side of the body. Now turn to look down for a second. And see if you can lift your left heel up a little bit. Just a little bit. Draw the outer left hip back. And then let the heel come back down. And then press into that left forearm as you turn to look forward. And then if you can, look up if you can a little bit towards your hand. Don't do it if it bothers your neck. One more breath. And we're going to come on back into warrior two from here. Pressing the feet away from each other as we come. Soften the shoulders down. Reach out through the fingertips. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to straighten the left knee out, turn our feet more parallel now. You can adjust for your wide-legged forward bend how you want. Coming on forward, grab your blocks if you'd like. Hands can come to blocks or the floor. Take your time here. Easing into bending one knee at a time. Letting your body sort of move at the pace you need to find release here for the inner thighs. Good, and then finish off back at center. And hands either on the floor or a block. Now you're lengthened out. Have them right under the chest or kind of in front of, maybe towards your head a little bit even, so that we can add a twist. Left hand's going to come more to the midline of the body. Right hand on up to the right hip. Then the low back, and then rotating that shoulder up. Press the feet away from each other, finding the twist in the middle of the back. Staying level there in your hips. And then we'll come on back down with that hand. We're going to switch. Left hand comes up. Rolling that left shoulder up. Press the feet away from each other. Feel your inner thighs rotating their way back behind you. Levelness right there where your hand is on your sacrum. One more breath. And then bringing your hand on back down. And take your time here. Adjust your way into where you can be comfortable in the pose. Whether it's bringing your hands back more towards between your feet, letting yourself hang here, or use blocks underneath your forearms to give you support. If you don't feel like you're quite the right distance apart with your feet, really adjust that too if you want to get wider or less wide. Because you want to be able to really let go here through the upper body. And start to feel and be with your breaths all the way in and all the way out. Soft through your face. Good. One more breath. And we're going to take our hands on out in front of us again. Find that long back. And then we're going to walk over to our left foot. Come on back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose from there. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times. Really let yourself stay on one side to press into the top of the toes on one foot and then the other. Good. And then come on back to your dog, and let's come on out to plank. Now, how you want to add a back bend or whether you do is up to you. You can come through chaturanga if you'd like. Come on into your up dog, or you can come right there from plank. So, just move how you need to here. If you need to put your knees down, do. Take your time. Let yourself enjoy whatever your body kind of feels like it wants. And if you feel like post-Thanksgiving never wanting to eat again, I totally get it. So, finishing off, we'll meet back in down dog. Take a breath in your dog. Spread your fingers wide. Elbows hug towards each other. We're going to bring the right foot forward. And we're coming on up for warrior two on this side. So lining up the heels again. Finding that alignment of that front knee. Getting the length of stance where you feel really good to be. Good. And then bring your hands to your heart again. Bring your hands, spread the fingers. Let yourself feel the connection. Shoulders nice and released. And then go ahead and squeeze. Interlace your fingers. Squeeze your palms together for a second. And then turn your palms out away from your chest. Press forward with the hands. And start to rise the arms up. So as you do, try to let the shoulders not lift up by your ears, right? Pressing up into the heels of the hands. Feel your tailbone dropping down. Make sure you're not tucking it forward under you. Nice. We're going to release the hands softly. Come into warrior two, arms slowly. Bringing your gaze right out over the top of that right hand. Feel the feet in the floor. Feel as balanced as you can, right to left, front to back. Let's bring our left arm down. Fold it behind you if you can. Turn your right palm up and inhale and reach up. Breathing into that right side. One more full breath, feeling the ribs expand as you inhale. And then as you exhale, bringing yourself on into side angle, hand or forearm onto your thigh. If you're able to swing that left arm up in line, do. If you need to keep the hand down, do. No problem. Now for a second, turn to look down at your right foot. See if you can float your right heel up just a little bit off the floor. And then bring the heel on back down. And let's press into that forearm as we turn to look forward. And again, if you want to turn to look up towards your hand or the ceiling a little bit, do. Don't do it if it bothers your neck. One more breath. And then we're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come, finding that core strength there. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. Again, adjust how far apart they are if you need. Coming on forward. Actually, bring your elbows above your knees. Bend your knees. Bring your elbows there above your knees. And maybe you want to bend a little deeper in your legs. That's up to you. Take your time. Lengthen out through the spine there. And then bringing your hands on down to blocks of the floor. Let's walk over towards our right foot. How far you go, totally up to you. Bring your right hand on up to your right hip. Roll the shoulder up if you choose. And then we'll come on back down. We're going to walk back through center and walk over to the left. Again, how far you go, totally up to you. Bring your left hand up, and then whether you add that little rolling of the shoulder up more is up to you. And then come on back down. Bring your hands on back into center, and turn your toes out a little bit, and bend one knee at a time, right? So as you have the toes turned out, you decide if you want to go low in this. Like if you decide to bend your right knee and lift your left foot up off the floor with just the heel down, that's a little more. Or you can put your hands there to support you and shift your hips down if you want to go lower. So that is up to you. You can move from side to side, go as low as you want, or stay up as high as you want. And then come on back into center and bringing the toes back forward again. Releasing into your wide-legged forward bend, wherever feels good. Whatever support you want. Starting now just to get that ease in the upper body. Feeling those full, deep breaths. If you're familiar with Ujjayi breathing, feeling the breath coming through the throat, and that's comfortable for you, you can come into your Ujjayi breaths. And then take your time, walk your hands out for a second. Stay here with a nice long back. Hadn't thought of it before, but when you have the mask on, it feels even more Darth Vader-ish, doesn't it, that breath? And then we'll walk back over to our right foot. Come on back into lunge, and we'll make our way back into down dog. So again, you want to do some vinyasas or kriyas, you choose. Coming out to the plank, not necessary. Whether you want to put your knees down, whether you feel like you'd like to move a little bit through vinyasas or kriyas. Take your time. Let it feel good, whatever it is you choose to do. Good, and then finish off and meet back in down dog. And then we'll bring our left foot forward. This time we're coming up for warrior one. Have your blocks handy there by the front of your mat. Get yourself positioned there in your warrior one. Bring your hands to your heart and find that alignment here where you feel really good to be. Once you get your hands together, you bring your gaze forward. Let it feel really good. Feel it equal through your feet. Remember, arches lifting up, four corners of the feet down. Let's unfold our arms and inhale our arms out and up overhead. You can touch fingertips together if you choose. And then exhaling, the arms coming on back down. Now you can add focus to this if you want. Inhaling the arms up, looking up if you want to your hands. And on the exhale as they come down, you may even want to bring your head to look down towards the ground. Up to you. Inhaling the arms up. And exhaling, releasing back down. And inhaling, bringing the arms on up. And exhaling, letting them come down. Now this time once they're down, bring your hands behind you, clasp your hands, straighten your front knee out, and start to really bring that right hip pointer around where you're squared off. And we're going to come on forward for pyramid. Thighs engaging upward, lifting the thighs upward as you come. You don't have to go very far. You can go 2 or 3 inches and stay there. A lot of work. You can go more parallel to the floor if you feel good to do that. If you want to fold all the way over your front leg, go for it. You can bring your arms off your back even if that feels good. Don't need to do that part, you know that. Stay up as high as you want. We're going to release now the arms on down. Bring our hands to whatever surface we like, blocks or floor. And now as you readjust in your pyramid now, really get to work here, drawing those hip pointer bones towards each other. Feeling that sense of being very level. Keep your right hand down and then bring your left hand up to your hip and then onto your low back. Roll that left shoulder up. Now, as you do, really feel that you're drawing back that left hip so you're staying as square as you can there in your hips. Revolve triangle, you're welcome to lift that left arm up if you choose to. Your shoulder lets you. One more breath. And then go ahead and lower your hand back down. Take a couple of breaths. You can fold over your leg if you want to. And then come on back up and let's bend the front knee. Find your full lunge here. And we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose from here. Once you're there, walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times. And then bring your feet a little closer together. Lift your right leg up in the air, bend the knee, and start to open the hip. So as you turn to look under your right arm, just let yourself enjoy. Now you can bend the right knee more if you want and draw your heel in towards your buttocks if that feels good. And then we'll stretch the leg long and lower it down. We're going to do the other side. So left leg comes up, bend the knee, open the hip. It's like you're stacking your left hip on top of your right. You can look under your left arm. And then if it feels good to pull the heel in, feel a little more quad there, do it. And then we'll release and draw the foot back down. Come on back into down dog. And let's lower our knees down. Shift back in towards pose of a child. And we're going to walk our hands over to the right. Let yourself just feel that nice openness through the left side body here. Let your head release if you can. And then come on back through center and we'll go to the other side. Breathing into the right side. Good. And then come on back into center. Come forward onto your forearms for a second. Bring your knees underneath you now and clasp your hands. And just for a second, we're going to lift up into a dolphin pose. Just to give you a little break. Should feel really good. Pressing into the forearms. Let your inhales rise your heels way up. Let your exhales lower them down. So you actually move a little bit with the breath. Inhaling heels up. And on the exhale, they just release back downward. One more breath. And then we're going to lower the knees back down. And come on back up to your hands and knees and come on back into down dog. Good. Walk a little bit if you need to. We're about to do the other side. So bringing that right foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior one. So again, have your blocks handy if you need. Releasing on up, squaring the shoulders. Take your time. You know, if you need to adjust your stance a little bit, get really comfortable, shake your arms out a little bit, and your hands, move through your hands a bit. And then when you're ready, letting the hands come in front of your heart. Take your time there. Let it feel really good. Good. And then we'll bring our arms down. And we're going to inhale the arms out and up overhead. And exhale, bringing the arms on back down beside us. Now you can start to look at the hands and move your head as well or not. Inhaling the arms up. And exhaling, lowering down. And inhaling, arms rising up. And exhaling, arms lowering down. Staying really strong here in the core. And inhaling those arms back up. And exhaling, lowering down. And this time, once they come down, clasp your hands behind you. We're going to straighten that front leg. You might have to adjust to get your legs into getting those hips around square. Thighs engage upward, coming on forward. No matter how far you come. So coming in towards this pyramid pose. Stay up high if you need. Fold over the leg if you like to. So that's up to you. Stay parallel to the floor if you like that feeling. Just being where you can. One more breath. And then releasing the arms on down, hands to the blocks of the floor. And now adjust your pyramid pose. Sometimes when you get your hands down, you get that support. You need a little bit shorter or longer stance, right? Back foot fully grounded. Thighs engaging upward. Length through the spine. And then bring in your right hand. Keep your left hand down. Right hand on up to your hip, your low back. Rolling that shoulder up, trying to keep that levelness. So finding that twist in the middle of the back. Pretty intense for the backs of the legs. For the outside of your right leg. Make sure you're not rolling. You can rise the arm up if you want. One more breath. And then go ahead and release the hand back down. And now if you want to bow over this leg, go for it. You can have your hands supported, bow more. You can let your hands come to the floor, turn your fingertips behind you if you want. One more breath. Good. And then come on back out with the hands so you can bend that front knee and find your lunge. Find your full lunge here. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. And be on your own now. Just do whatever your body initially wants to do. I'm serious. If you need to put your knees down, do it. If you feel like you just want to stay in your dog or you want to move out to some planks, maybe you want to move through back bends, maybe you don't. Really just following how your body feels today. Good. And then finish off. We'll meet back in down dog. We're going to widen our feet on our mat. Walk to the outside edges of your mat. See if you can get the pinky toe and the next two toes on the floor and the big toe and the second toe on the mat. So that takes a little adjusting, right? And then bend your knees. Walk your hands back. Let yourself either rise the elbows above the knees if you need that kind of support, or maybe send your hands through between your feet, wrap your hands around the back of your ankles onto the outside of your ankles, if that feels good. And you can either squat down, like if it feels good to put your hands on the floor behind your feet and squat down, do. If not, don't do it. You can stay with yourself up with your hips. And just be mindful, take your time. Let yourself feel good about opening through the hips into the low back. Good. And then we'll bring our hands forward. We're going to bring our hips up and walk our feet under us. So get your feet hips distance apart and parallel. Try lifting all your toes up. And maybe again, take your hands and massage your toes a little bit. Let yourself separate your toes. Squeeze each toe individually just for a second or so. And then release your toes really gently down to the floor. Come into your Uttanasana. Feel the weight of your head. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. Bend our knees, press into our feet and come on up. Let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bringing our hands down. Now let your hands be really softly together. Coming into mountain, if you need to adjust it, all do. But enjoy feeling the energy now flowing through. That sense of lightness in your head. And then we'll slowly bring our hands on down. And do whatever you need to do. Shake out. We are going to bring our mat into a wall. So if you're at home close enough to put your hand into, it doesn't have to be a wall, it can be anything for a little bit of support. We're just going to practice a little tree pose. So you just need like a little space to come into support for your left hand. So let's bring left hand to the wall. And at first, just bring your right knee up like you're stepping up a step, right? And if you can hold on to your right knee with your hand or behind your thigh, do. And see if you can balance there. You might even want to bring both hands to hold on to your knee, or both hands behind to kind of clasp and hold on underneath your thigh. Good. And now we're going to open that knee out to the side. Put your hand on the wall if you need to do that. So opening the knee out to the side. Remember, you still want your hips square. And you can take your hand off the wall and balance there if you want. And then we'll bring the right foot in for tree from here. Whether you want to bring it in up higher into the inner thigh or down lower below the knee. Feel the foot. Now hold on to the wall if you need to. Feel the foot gently coming into the inside of your leg, and imagine the inner leg coming back into your foot. Find a spot to look at where you can really find your focus, and then practice a little bit, hands coming to the heart if you can. And then if you're able to rise the hands up through the midline, staying in tree, go right ahead and do that. You can have the hands together up above your head, or you can separate your hands if you'd like your arms wider. You can use the wall. Put your left hand to the wall anytime you need. Nice. One more breath. And then we'll bring our arms on down. We're going to turn to face the wall now. Walk back into a down dog where if you can get that 90-degree angle at your hips, do. If you need to be fisted with your hands, make fists, do it. If it hurts your wrist to have this extreme angle. And then bring your feet a little closer together. Let yourself hug your elbows towards each other. You're going to shift your weight to your right foot and lift your left foot up into a warrior three. Toes are facing down towards the floor. Kind of bend your right knee a little bit if you need to, and then press back out of your hands. See if you can find a longer leg. Left pinky toe facing down towards the ground. Now if you can, let the right knee bend and bring your left knee in towards your face. And then inhale, stretch it back again into a warrior three. And then one more time. Bend off the knees, bring the left knee in. And then inhale and stretch it back. And then we're going to lower that foot on down, walk in towards the wall. Do whatever you need to do before you come into tree on the other side. So move through your feet if you need. And here we are. Right foot is supporting foot, right hand on the wall. Left knee comes up like you're stepping up a step. You can either hold the knee or hold behind your thigh. Just make sure you don't throw your shoulders back, right? That's a temptation, a big one. And if you're going to try to balance here, bringing the hand off the wall, just let yourself feel. It's harder than tree pose, this pose right here. Harder for balance. And then we'll open the knee out to the side. And again, you can hold the wall or you can practice a little bit, taking your hand off the wall. And then as you bring the foot in for tree, whether you decide to be above or below your knee, feel right hand on the wall for a second. Feel the foot coming into the inner leg. Inner leg pressing back towards your foot. And there's the sense of balance right there. Bring your gaze to some place where you can maybe bring your hands to your heart. Use the wall if you need. And as you think about the arms coming overhead, you do what you want. Arms can come up to have hands together up there. You can, if you want, let the hands separate. You can use the wall. Remember, trees sway, so if there's a little bit of movement, you're not trying to lock into your tree pose. We're going to bring our foot on down. We're going to turn to face the wall. Again, get your feet a little closer together. Check out your hands before you do anything. Make sure you don't have one hand higher than the other. Spread the fingers wide, elbows hug towards each other. If you need to do fists, do. Feet a little closer, right leg comes up in the air. Let yourself feel the toes facing down. Elbows hug in. Really enjoy. You can bend that left knee if you need. And then as you exhale, bring that right knee in. Let yourself come in, bend both knees, and then inhale, stretch it back. And then again, same thing. Bringing the knee in, you can round into your back a little bit. Inhale as you stretch back into length. And then one more time. Reaching back into that warrior three. Toes face down, hips level. One more breath. And then release. Walk yourself in towards the wall. Turn your back to the wall. And then from here, walk your feet out, maybe 8 inches or less or more from your heels away from the wall. And then lean back, let your hips come forward. Let your legs straighten out. And at first, keep your chin parallel to the floor. Arms are just hanging, right? So your arms are hanging, you're open here across your chest, feels really good. If it's too much, shift back, put your heels closer to the wall, and then try it again. If you want more, shift back, walk your feet farther out, and then start over, shift the hips forward, and come into here. This openness right here. You can add arms up if you want. You can put your hands up the wall. You can turn palms outward, forward, or towards each other. I like towards each other, but it's up to you. And then if you want, you can shift forward, get your head off the wall, maybe look up a little bit here, coming into that lift. If it's too much on your low back, do not do it. There's that lift in the belly. Beautiful. One more breath. And then come on back up. Shift your hips back to the wall, your shoulders back, your hips back, bend your knees. Come on forward, either elbows above the knees. Or some of you may want to straighten your legs out and fold all the way with your hips into the wall, all the way forward, so that now your hips are back behind your heels, right? If that feels good to you. Don't do it if it's too much. And just breathe and release. Good. One more breath. And from here, we're going to shift our weight to our feet so we can rise on up to standing. And we're going to come back onto our mats and come down to our bellies. So you guys, your feet are back to the wall. I'm going to stay turned sideways. But let yourself come down and let your feet be touching the wall if you're at the wall. Come on into a Sphinx pose just to bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. If you need to, you know your elbows can be back more towards your waist or forward more. Finding a little release there. And then clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out. You can either do a half forearm plank if you want, coming up to the flesh above the knees with the knees bent, or you can put your toes down and lift up into that full forearm plank. That's up to you. One more breath here. And then release all the way down. Bring your arms down alongside your body. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, float up into a locust pose. Doesn't have to be high. Reaching fingertips and toes back towards the wall behind you. Point your toes at first. And then see if you can draw just your toes back, but you're still pressing into the balls of your feet. And then we're going to come back down onto forearms again and right back to that forearm plank. Or half forearm plank, whichever one you choose. Either one. Nice core work. And then we're going to come down and we're going to shift back towards our knees. Kind of walk your forearms back. Let yourself release here for a breath. And we'll come up into another little dolphin here. So if you're at the wall, your heels might be up the wall. That's fine. You don't have to have the wall. If you like it, you can have your heels up the wall. If you don't want to do dolphin, revisit your half or full forearm plank. And those of you who are at the wall and want to bring a leg up, you can, or walk up the wall. Those of you in here who know. So take your time. Let it feel really good. And then we'll come on down, take a break here in your child's pose or sitting up. If you feel like you need to get your head back up above your heart, go ahead and sit. Let yourself release into your breath. And then we're going to come on up to sitting, bringing our hands on up by our knees if we're in child's pose. And come on around. Stretch your legs on out in front of you. And kind of move around a little bit. Let your legs be flippy-floppy. Good. And then from here, options. You can leave your left leg long to do heron pose, or you can fold the leg up under you. All right? So if you know your knee is better to have your leg long do, you can sit up on a blanket and bring your right knee up and in, right? So that you're going to either hook your hand or your arm all the way behind your thigh. And send your foot up a little bit. I prefer to bend this knee, it just feels better. So it's up to you. And you can reach up for your foot. You can hold with the knee bent right there. You can hold if you want like one hand underneath the leg and one hand towards your foot. Either one, right, that works for you. And then see if you can look up a little bit from here. Just that looking up brings that lift to the front of the body. And if it's possible to bring your legs straighter, you can. Keeping that lift through the front of the body. And again, your leg can be here. Trying to keep that, it's almost like your sternum is leading you up towards where the wall meets the ceiling, right? You can hold however you want. Good. One more breath. And now send your left hand towards the outside of that right leg somewhere. Now it can be down low like this because we're going to twist, bringing our right hand on around behind us. Now press if you can, whether you have the foot or the leg. Press the right leg gently into your hand, and there is the outside of your leg big time. One more breath. Keep lifting up through the top of your head. And then come on back around into center. Bend that knee for a second. Let yourself bow your head for a breath or two. And then we're going to switch. So again, you can decide. That right leg can be long. You can hold behind your thigh and kind of lift your leg up just a little bit. You know, and maybe just straightening out like this is enough, or thinking of reaching for your foot, right? I like to fold the leg under, but that's up to you. If you can get the inside and the outside of the foot, even with the knee bent, and then think about that sternum drawing up towards where the wall meets the ceiling. And then, totally optional whether the leg will think about going straight or not. That's up to you. So find that sense of uplift. You can hold behind your leg. You don't have to get the foot, remember. I know our legs are very heavy, but let yourself just find what you can here, lifting up through the front of the body. Good. And then holding on with your right hand to the outside of the leg. Remember, the leg can be here. It doesn't have to be up. Bringing your left hand behind you. Coming into your twist here. So you can be up, pushing the leg into your hand a little bit. If you have the foot, pushing the foot into your hand. Now lengthening upward. One more breath. And now as you come on back around into center and you put the foot down on the floor, just go ahead, let your back even round a little bit here. Let yourself release. And then turn yourself to where you can roll down onto your back on the floor. So adjusting on your mat, so when you come on down, you're not going to bang your head in the wall. Bring your knees on in towards your chest. Come into a little happy baby pose if possible. Sliding the knees towards the outer edges of the ribs, feet on up. You can hold behind your thighs. You can roll around as much as you want. If it feels good to roll side to side, do. And then bringing your feet on down, widen your feet towards the outside edge of your mat. So the feet are on the mat, but just barely, right? And let yourself then allow the knees to come from one side to the other at your own pace. And go as low down as you want with the knees towards the floor. Maybe you just want to barely shift the knees a little tiny bit, where you just shift to the top of one hip and then the other. Or maybe you want the knees to descend on down, getting a little more openness through the front of the top hip there. And then we'll come on back up with the knees and let's do a little bridge pose. Your choice how you want to practice bridge. So if you feel like a supported bridge sounds like the best idea ever, you can go ahead and shift up to that block and let yourself release onto any level you want, getting your feet set. Maybe just staying there without efforting up and down, right? If you get on a block and you just want to let your back release, then do it. If you feel like you don't even want to block, but you want to move up into your bridge pose, you can. You can always come down whenever you choose. And if you're on a block and you want to shift from level to level, you can go up higher and higher if you like and release onto blocks at higher levels, or 2 blocks stacked up is really more stable than the highest height of a block to me. But take your time. Pay attention to what your body needs. You know, maybe it needs the supported bridge more than it needs the effort of coming into working in your bridge. And of course, anybody at any time can come into bringing your hips to the floor and then going up into a full back bend, upward facing bow pose. But really, take your time. All kinds of fun ways to play in bridge. You know, you can lift your heels up in bridge pose and feel a little more. You can use support with your hands under you instead of a block if you want. So you know, when you do get ready to come down from bridge pose, take your time, bring your knees into your chest. I mean, perhaps you feel better to bring one knee in at a time. Maybe you want both knees. Everybody is different when they come down out of a bridge pose, and of course, not only is everybody different, but we're different at any time that we might do one, right? Because you really just want to pay attention so that you find a release for your back, however feels the best for you. And if you need to do any other movement or pose right now, let yourself do that. If you need to get comfortable with more support, I can bring bolsters here at the studio. If you're home, a bolster, a blanket, can sometimes just really feel good to have support underneath your knees. or underneath the back of your head to give yourself support if your neck feels a little bit stiff, so that you have length in the back of your throat. But if you're here at the studio, wave at me if the idea of something sounds good, anything. And let yourself start to release down. Feeling the ground supporting you, allowing your breath to easily come in and go out. Whatever helps you return your focus to your breath, whether it's counting or thinking a word or a mantra. Just let yourself find those quiet places. They come and go. But give your body and your brain time to benefit from all you just did, simply by allowing yourself to completely and fully relax. physical movement as you inhale and exhale. Let those breaths start to bring you back into some energy, wanting to move the body now, the fingers and the toes, the hands and the feet. Moving up into your arms, your legs, when you're ready, however you need to move, stretch or bend, take your time. You know you're welcome to stay there on your back. Let yourself adjust a little bit. You can roll to either your right or your left side too, anytime, if that's okay for you to come into bending your knees into a soft fetal position. You can even use your arm as a pillow if you're there on your side, if you don't have a blanket. And yourself a little time so that when you do feel ready to rise up, it feels like the next natural thing to do, to come to be upright again. Sitting however's comfortable for your hips, and then getting yourself to feel that openness across your chest once you get up, with the head floating up there on top, feeling that nice space in your spine, able to feel your breath very easily coming in and going out. And on your next exhale, letting your hands gently come together there to meet in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.